Right now, a person dead on a Janesville bike trail less than 24 hours ago. What the investigation has found so far.
Plus, it's going to be another warm day today. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Well, happy Sunday morning. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn. Thanks for waking up with us.
And I'm meteorologist Jacob Montesano. You're watching Weekend Mornings on Sunday, September 14th, and it's going to be a warm one, lots of sunshine. But the story right now is the fog. Let's take a look outside. Now, this is from Platteville. It's not quite as foggy for areas to the west of Madison, but you can still kind of see that fog out there. Also, you can see good amount of clouds in the distance, but also a good amount of sunshine. Looks like right where or good amount of clear skies, I should say, where the camera is located. But again, the fog is the story right now. Visibility, some areas down to near zero, and especially down to a quarter of a mile to a half mile for a lot of areas. This is especially the case for Madison and areas to the east. Now, there's just a dense fog advisory for areas east of Madison. This is in effect until 10 a.m. This doesn't include Dane County, but that doesn't mean we're not seeing some pretty heavy fog right now. So this is going to continue for a few more hours, clearing up by around 10 to 11 a.m. And the good news is that for the overnight hours tonight, we're not going to see as much fog into Monday morning. Still some patchy spots, but not as bad as it is right now. Looking at the temperatures, it is another mild morning, low 60s out there. If you step outside, it's certainly very comfortable, not that chilly at all. And those temperatures, the temperatures compared to normal right now are a sign of what they're going to be compared to normal for the afternoon hours, as highs will be in the lower 80s for just about everybody. Areas to the east may stay in the upper 70s, but still a lot of sunshine is expected. This is going to be a very similar forecast to you folks in La Crosse, maybe even warmer, as highs could hit the middle 80s for some. So certainly a summer-like Sunday. I can tell you now, next Sunday is not going to be very summer-like. I'll talk about how we're going to get to that point, though, coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you so much. We will check back in very shortly. New this morning, police are investigating after finding a person dead on a Janesville bike trail less than 24 hours ago. Officials say they began reporting to the scene around 7:30 a.m. yesterday. They found the dead person on the Ice Age Trail at the tunnel that travels under Highway 14. Police conclude the death is non-criminal in nature. No further details about the investigation are being released at this time. And we are following breaking news overnight. A crash happened just before midnight in Lake Mills near Cambridge. Take a look at this video. You can see the white car in the trees and all of the damage there. Cambridge Fire and EMS responded to London and Britsky Road for this crash, and our team on the scene also saw Jefferson County Sheriff's Department responding. The roof of the vehicle was cut off and lying in the ditch, and one person was seen being taken on a stretcher. I reached out to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, and they cannot currently confirm the severity of the crash or injuries at this time. We'll keep you updated on air and online as the details develop. Also developing overnight, a Columbia County police chase ending in Madison. Here you can see a heavy police presence on Wheeler and Gulf View Road. That's near the Cherokee Gardens condominiums. Our team on the scene reports Columbia and Dane County Sheriff's Departments, as well as Waunakee and DeForest Police at the scene, as well as state troopers. 3 people are believed to be involved, as our team reports. 2 people appearing to be detained sitting on a curb, and 1 person cuffed with an officer. Officials are unable to confirm any details at this time. More on this as it develops. The statewide Amber Alert for a Portage County child has been canceled. As of late yesterday afternoon, 6-year-old Ruby Lemon has been found. Police say she's safe prior to being found. She was last seen in a vehicle believed to be driven by her uncle, Jordan Coyle. Police say they currently have the suspect in custody. And schools are on high alert in the wake of recent school shootings. In Minnesota yesterday, threats against schools in Princeton. Friday, police seizing a Duluth man's guns and arresting a Nevis teenager for threatening to shoot up schools. Also this week, officers arrested 2 teenagers for gun crimes at schools in Richfield and St. Paul. As WCCO's Adam Duxter reports, some groups now want expanded police presence in schools.
At Osseo High School.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, guys.
School is in session, meaning Maple Grove Resource Officers Tony Mullen and Missy Parker.
We'll go for walks around the hallway to get up and moving, but most of it's like to make visits.
Are back to work. The pair, in their 5th year as a duo, patrolling this school of 2,400 students. On their minds,
we both have kids. We can't not take that stuff personal.
the attack at Annunciation.
It's a reminder that's always there in the back of our minds that we know bad things can happen. It hits a lot closer when it's this close to our own community.
But they also say
Honestly, it's been a roller coaster for us.
it's affirmation they belong. 2 years after Maple Grove in Brooklyn Park pulled SROs from this district, while lawmakers battled over language of how police can use force in schools. Since then, Minnesota has created uniform statewide training for any officer in a school.
I'm in a place where I've seen the pendulum shift.
Rudy Perez, interim chief in Golden Valley, has spent his career building these trainings. He says this legislative session, there will be a push to up police presence in public and private schools.
It has to have a deep conversations with legislators, and legislators have to have the ability to say, we are willing to provide somebody to address these issues when they arise.
If there's a spot that law enforcement can be part of that community within our community, whether that's a private school, public school, whatever, we're always going to advocate for that.
Adam Duxter, WCCO News.
Two of the state's largest districts, Minneapolis and St. Paul, have not had school resource officers since 2020 following the death of George Floyd. The city of Janesville is announcing a grand opening weekend of the Woodman Sports and Convention Center next Thursday through Sunday. The 140,000 square foot facility features the Mercy Health Arena, a year-round ice rink, a multi-purpose arena for basketball, volleyball, and more. And festivities kick off next Friday at 10 with a ribbon cutting ceremony at 2510 Milton Avenue. Followed by a community weekend with family-friendly events on that Saturday and Sunday. And for the full schedule, you can visit woodmancenter.com. And we have exciting news for local artists. The city of Madison is seeking creative minds to help transform the State Street Campus Garage with a major public art project at the new State Street Campus Garage. That's on North Lake Street. The $320,000 project will feature a site-specific artwork that uses or plays with light, welcoming both the community and visitors. Applications are open and they're due by 2 p.m. on Thursday, September 25th. Finalists will be announced in October with installation expected by 2026. You can also weigh in by taking a short public survey on art ideas. For links to apply or complete the survey, head to cityofmadison.com. 7:08 now, and we're sharing the story of Call for Action volunteer Jane. Jane's journey took her from a client to a volunteer, and that's coming up after the break.
Plus, I'll continue showing the forecast for the upcoming work week. I'll have the full details coming up.
Welcome back. Joining me today is Call for Action volunteer Jane, and today her husband is joining us as well because both were former Call for Action clients. So Call for Action's help made you want to become a volunteer, and we'll get to that, but let's first talk about the case that made you guys kind of get into this position in the first place.
Bill from Budget Rental took them back and told a different story.
We didn't put a lot of miles on it. We parked, and I searched for a person to check in, but they were far away and too busy to come and look at the car. So they said, leave the keys and go.
We got an email from them telling us we had done the damage to the car, and I said, no way, we didn't do that. So we needed help because we weren't getting anywhere just by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So Call for Action was suggested to me by a friend, and I called, and they took off with it, and they were a lifesaver to us because they were able to get the case canceled because we hadn't done anything wrong. All they needed was a phone call and saying they were Channel 3000, and the person called us up and said, oh, sorry, it's just a
clerical error.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And we were like, really? Okay.
Aside from Channel 3000, was there any type of, did you guys need to provide any documentation, or was it just that simple?
No, we had pictures, documentation of what they said had happened, and we had mileage before and after, which was very discrepancy.
There's a lot more miles on the car than when we dropped it off.
Yeah.
And the car was really damaged severely, like $10,000. We did some work on our own, and the body guy said, oh yeah, that's like 10 grand, easy. And they only wanted 2,000. So the whole story just sounded like what's going on here?
Right, right.
And so I think they probably, the insurance company was willing to pay the $2,000, no questions asked, and we said we didn't do the damage, and then our deductible goes up and our insurance goes up, and I think some other people probably have had this done, and actually there was another call for action person that actually had something like similar to this done to them.
So what is the lesson here? What steps did you guys take that ended up saving you or helping you? And what advice do you have for consumers who might be in a similar situation?
Take pictures of the car when you drop it off if there's nobody there to. We're old school, and we used to, a person would come around, go around the car with you and check it and say everything's fine. So I would take a picture of the mileage, the picture of the date.
Yeah, photo of the car inside and out.
Now we know.
Now you know, and now other consumers know as well. So this is the case that kind of sparked your interest, and now you're one of our active volunteers. Right. You're going to be with us at the telethon later this week. So what is it that you like about being a volunteer? Can you just tell me a little bit about your experience so far?
I want to give back to people. They were able to help me or us, and I want to be able to do that for people. And I've had some cases where I've actually helped people out quite a bit. And it's not everything's successful, and every scam is not fixable, but I enjoy it. It's really interesting, all the things, and the people I work with are spectacular. So I can occur. Yes. The people in Call for Action, you guys are incredible, and you guys know it. Calling for action every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The volunteers are in the building. We're here.
Jane's story is something that can happen to anyone, and if you don't do damage, you won't want your insurance company to pay for something like this, because that could result in a deductible payment for you and higher interest rates. Call for Action is hosting a telethon this week, Thursday, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So for anyone who works during the day, this is a great opportunity to call in and get your consumer advice if you're not available during their normal hours. Now let's check in with Jacob Montesano live from our studio in Madison.
Good morning, Michelle Renee. As we take a look at the 3 things you need to know, staying in the 80s the next few days with not a lot of rainfall until we get to Thursday and Friday, with cooler temperatures once we get to next weekend. But for this weekend, obviously, today being Sunday, plenty of sunshine, highs in the middle to lower 80s, maybe upper 70s for areas to the east, but definitely summer-like today, and it's going to remain summer-like for tomorrow as well. A little bit more cloud cover tomorrow for areas to the west of Madison, but Dane County and areas to the east going to see more sunshine and very similar temperatures. Those temperatures will continue for Tuesday and Wednesday as well, highs in the 80s, still around 80 for Thursday, but that rain Thursday, Friday will cool the temperatures down for next weekend. Now looking at the cloud covered rainfall forecast for the entire week, Madison and especially areas to the east almost certainly looking dry through the day on Wednesday, but for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, areas to the west could see a few isolated showers, maybe a pop-up storm or two. Not expecting a ton of rainfall, but don't be surprised if you folks near the Mississippi River see a few isolated showers for Monday and Tuesday afternoon, but also Wednesday as well. Wednesday looks like there'll be a little bit more rainfall, especially for areas completely west of Wisconsin, and it might move into northern Wisconsin later in the day Wednesday, but the rainfall off to the west will really kind of struggle to get into Wisconsin until we get to Friday, where we are going to see those widespread showers and thunderstorms finally move across all of southern Wisconsin. And this rain is expected to continue into the weekend as well. The weekend, though, looks like it'll mostly be in the form of showers, but this system really going to take its time to move out of the region, and it's going to bring a good amount of rainfall to our area. I would say at least about a half inch to a full inch, but obviously some areas could see a bit more, and we'll continue tracking just how much rain is expected. But right now, it looks like we'll see continuous, at least the potential for that rainfall kind of starting Thursday, lasting through the weekend. And as I mentioned earlier, really going to cool the temperatures down. Highs will be back in the lower 70s, maybe upper 60s for some at times, but certainly cooler than what we're seeing right now. Now, as we take a look at Madison's forecast, similar to La Crosse, again, next weekend, right now, it looks like we do have the chance of rain throughout the weekend, but what's more likely, or what's more confident right now, is the fact that those temperatures will fall lower 70s to upper 60s during that time frame. So if you like the warm temperatures, definitely take advantage. I'd be surprised if we see this many 80s in a row until next year after, once we get towards next weekend. So soak up these warm temperatures if you like them.
Oh, know I will.
The 80s will probably come back at some point towards, the end of September. But again, this many 80-degree days in a row will become very uncommon pretty soon.
And you know what? That's okay, because after this many 80-degree days, it gets way too hot anyways. We'll need the little cool down. We'll need a little bit of rain. We'll need a little break.
I'm ready for that break.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, stick with us on Weekend Mornings. We'll be right back.
I do want to take a second and look a little bit towards tomorrow at the bus stop forecast. Now, it's going to be very similar to today if there was a bus stop forecast, but comfy start to Monday with plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures once we get to those afternoon hours. Again, plenty of sunshine. Madison is going to see almost completely sunny skies the next couple of days. And like I mentioned, tomorrow's forecast very similar to today. Here's a look at today's forecast. Again, a lot of sunshine, highs in the middle to lower 80s, and then looking at tomorrow's, it's kind of a rinse and repeat, at least for Madison. The only difference is that there'll be a little bit more cloud cover for areas to the west, but the story this week will be those warm temperatures. It is going to likely get to the 80s, potentially several days in a row. So soak up these warm temperatures, but that cool down is going to come towards next weekend.
Oh, next weekend. Can stay at next weekend. I'm liking the temperatures for today. Thanks, Jacob. Well, Packers games can get emotional, but one four-legged superfan is bringing smiles to everyone he meets. Daniel Schuster at our CBS affiliate in Green Bay is introducing you to Vinny James.
Why do we come to every pack? Because we love putting smiles on people's faces, and I think he's beginning to like the attention. You want to talk on the microphone? Yes, here you go.
Meet Vinny James, a 12-year-old Chihuahua who rolls around Lambeau in a football-shaped cooler. He was found on Craigslist 10 years ago and has been a fan favorite ever since.
It takes us 2.5 hours to walk around the stadium, and we meet all his super fans. Minion's his best friend, and there's Pac-Mania, and there's St. Vinny and Miss Liberty.
People can take games too seriously. People can overreact to a win or a loss. But Sir Vinny James here brings a little bit of humanity to the game.
It's only a game, yes. I mean, there's big rewards at the end, but we're just here to have fun.
This Packer Pups ride started as a DIY project, a flea market football cooler on training wheels.
We happened to go to a flea market and found a football cooler, and then I found training wheels. So I just put it all together, and if anybody can find a football cooler, not a kid's cooler, but football cooler, please let us know.
And after a decade of meeting fans and going to football games, one thing is clear.
How would you describe Gloria and Vinny James's relationship?
Inseparable. Inseparable, hands down, no question about it.
For Gloria, the memories keep stacking up, and so does her love for Vinny James.
How much do you care for Vinny James here, and what does he mean to you?
Vinny James is my soul. He's just the best thing I ever had. Never let me down, always has me smiling.
I know my grandma would love to meet that dog.
That dog is adorable. I mean, I feel like anytime, you bring a dog somewhere where they're not traditionally, they're always the center of attention.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't even matter. When you're walking down the street, it's like,
oh, yeah.
Dog. If I see a cute dog, I'm going to ask to pet it.
Whenever I'm driving my dog somewhere, she loves to have the windows open so her head will peek out. Now notice a few people walking by point at her. So yeah,
that's me,
cute.
The person walking by. I saw a pit bull the other day. I was like, look.
That's so cute.
What's your dog's name?
Summer, actually.
Summer. Oh,
yeah.
That's such a cute name.
Yeah.
And you don't like summer temperatures?
No, but I mean, the summertime is overall has a positive vibe to it.
Yeah,
I would say for sure.
Is that kind of how she got her name? Positivity,
yeah, kind of.
made you smile.
She's got a lot of energy for sure.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, before we head to break, here's a look at your gas prices. You're watching Weekend Mornings. Keep it here. Breaking news overnight after a car crashed into a tree. What we know so far. And a cross-county car chase as the clock strikes 12, where it ended and the developing details.
Plus, it's going to be a warm day today. I'll have the full Sunday forecast coming up.
Today is Sunday, September 14th, and you're watching Weekend Mornings. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn, and we begin today with breaking news overnight. A crash happened just before midnight in Lake Mills near Cambridge. Take a look at this video. You can see the white car in the trees and all the damage there. Cambridge Fire and EMS responded to London and Britsky Road for a crash. Our team on the scene also saw Jefferson County Sheriff's Department responding. The roof of the vehicle was cut off and lying in the ditch, and one person was seen being taken on a stretcher. Jefferson County Sheriff's Department cannot currently confirm the severity of the crash or injuries at this time, but we'll keep you updated on air and online as the story develops. Also developing overnight, a Columbia County police chase ending in Madison. Here you can see heavy police presence on Wheeler and Gulfview Road. That's near Cherokee Gardens condominiums. Our team on the scene reports Columbia and Dane County Sheriff's Department, as well as Waunakee and DeForest Police at the scene, and state troopers. 3 people are believed to be involved. As our team reports, 2 people are appearing to be detained, sitting on a curb, and 1 person cuffed with an officer. Officials are unable to confirm any details at this time. More on this as it develops. Now let's send it over to Jacob Montesano live from our studio in Madison. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Renee. Taking a look outside, this is a live view from Platteville, and looking closely, you could see some foggy conditions out there. Now, it's not as bad in western Wisconsin as it is in Madison and areas to the east. Taking a look at the current visibility, a lot of areas very low, below a mile easily for a lot of locations. Again, especially for Madison and areas to the east and also areas to the south. Now, there's a dense fog advisory in effect for counties to the east of Madison. Doesn't include Dane County, but that doesn't mean we're not seeing some dense fog, and this is going to be until 10 a.m. So once we get to around 10 to 11, the fog will begin clearing up with clear skies and clear conditions for the afternoon. And looking at the overnight hours later tonight into tomorrow morning, we're not expecting those foggy conditions to return, at least not to the level they are right now. Maybe some patchy fog at times. Temperatures are in the lower 60s today, so a very comfortable start, and it's going to be a warm one today. Highs will be in the lower 80s with plenty of sunshine. But these warm temperatures, although they're going to last for a bit, they're not going to last forever. So I'll talk more in detail about when we'll cool down coming up a bit later.
All right, thank you, Jacob. We'll check back in shortly. The statewide Amber Alert for a Portage County child has been canceled. As of late yesterday afternoon, 6-year-old Ruby Lemon has been found. Police say she's safe, and she was found, or last seen rather, in a vehicle believed to be driven by her uncle, Jordan Coyle. Police say they currently have the suspect in custody. Now to our top stories. In Florida, the Orange County Sheriff's Office has released body camera video of a deputy shooting a homeowner as he was about to open his front door. You can see in this video, deputies are responding to a report of a home invasion. A preliminary investigation shows the victim, a man in his 40s, fired shots at 4 suspects who were attempting to break into his home before deputies arrived. The suspects fled on foot. The sheriff's office says when deputies got to the scene and the victim went to unlock the door, one of the deputies accidentally discharged his firearm, striking the man. He was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The deputy has been relieved of law enforcement duty and temporarily reassigned to an administrative role. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement continues the investigation. We'll leave this up for a second so you can see it. This all as the conversation on body cameras continues locally. Madison Police Department initiated a pilot program using body cameras for 90 days last year. The former police chief wanted the department to have the cameras by 2027. And on the record, newly appointed police chief John Patterson says that's unlikely. You can join our Ellie La Liberté right here at 10:30 for full interview and more on local body camera and crime issues coming up on For the Record. Well, the city of Madison has reached a new collective bargaining agreement with the union representing its Metro Transit drivers and mechanics. The city says the contract includes a 3% increase in pay per year. Metro staff should also see quicker progression in vacation accrual, as well as guaranteed personal protection equipment. Metro drivers have been working without a contract for months. The new deal will be voted on at the next Common Council meeting. The Stoughton Common Council is approving the River Haven housing project. It'll be built along the Yahara River across from Mant Park. It's part of a public-private partnership with the Stoughton Redevelopment Authority. The first phase will build 122 apartments, which residents are expected to begin moving in during 2027. The second phase will start construction in 2029 and add 124 apartments by 2030. If you live in Spring Green, you may have smelled some flavor in the air. The 12th annual Smoke in the Valley Barbecue Charity Cook-Off had 17 competitors firing up their grills yesterday. Local family business Prem Meats hosts the event, and backyard barbecue enthusiasts compete for cash prizes and recognition. The event draws nearly 1,800 people and raises up to $50,000 for local charities. And one attendee, all the way from Clinton, Iowa, has been waiting 9 years to come back to the event.
The first time we came was for my friend's son's wedding, and we only had 4 hours before the wedding, so my wife wouldn't let me come. So I've been waiting since to get here.
Attendees pay $30 at the door for access to live music, a beanbag tournament, and samples. And we have an update to the Rock County Fence and Deck story that our Call for Action team brought to light. You'll remember the story involved multiple people left with no deck and services that did not get completed after they paid in full. Well, after reaching out for Call for Action took action. Out of their 11 cases, we've had 5 projects completed for full refunds and 2 clients refunded at 90%. Those 2 are waiting for the last 10% of their refunds. Now, Josh Wilkes, Rock County Fence and Deck owner, sent a statement to News 3 Now apologizing for the previous management of the company since February 2024. It reads in part, "I have recently taken back over my company as of July 25. This company was built off hard work, quality builds, and a fair price. Since I've been taken back over my company, people have been getting their refunds or projects built to satisfaction. I've had the chance to meet with many said clients to either build their projects or hand them their refunds and give them the chance to speak on their situations that occurred and give them my deepest apologies face to face." Wilkes is now facing 3 felony theft by contractor charges. The court set a $1,000 signature bond for his release, and an arraignment is scheduled for September 22nd. You can read my full article and the statement on channel3000.com. And join me next week, Thursday, from 4 to 7 p.m. because I'll be hosting that Call for Action telethon. Now to our entertainment news. Tonight is television's biggest night at the Emmy Awards. This year, you're not only seeing some name shows up there for nominations like Apple TV's Severance and The Studio, but also this year, once again, husband and wife Beyonce and Jay-Z are earning multiple nominations, going head-to-head for Outstanding Music Direction and Outstanding Choreography. Beyonce earned a nomination for her NFL Christmas Day halftime performance special on Netflix, dubbed the Beyonce Bowl. I was one of the people who 100% called it the Beyonce Bowl. And Jay-Z in the same category as a performer and executive producer for his work at the Super Bowl as well. That's for the halftime show headlined by Kendrick Lamar. You can watch the Emmys right here on WISC-TV tonight at 7. Are you an Emmy fan?
I mean, I do try to watch a lot of TV shows, although the nominees this year I haven't gotten around to. I've heard everyone talk about Severance. I feel like that's the big one.
It's a big in our newsroom, Dayside.
I don't know if they have a season nominated for this year, but everyone's talking about The Bear. I've watched it. Not a fan, honestly, but I'm kind of the outlier in that. So there's always shows that I need to catch up on. There's just so much to watch and so much to
I know this is
consume.
Backwards, but I like the Emmys because they tell us what's good and then I can go watch.
That is true.
A little backwards, but
I feel like, you know, you can say that about any awards show, but
and
there's always like that big argument, especially with the Oscars, like what's better, Oscar movies or those blockbuster movies? You know, they get more money. So, but I feel like the Emmys, those are probably the best shows for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out tonight. Still ahead, our Kyrion Lee shares tips for cholesterol health.
Plus, I'll continue tracking the forecast for the upcoming work week. Stick around. This is Weekend Mornings.
We're watching Weekend Mornings.
Welcome back. We have some morning motivation once again. This quote is from Fred Rogers, and our director, Nina, picked this quote out.
Yes, she did. Fred says, often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else.
You know, I really like this quote because a lot of people tend to, always be sad when things come to an end. But there's always that motto where it's like, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And it's also a good stepping point to, the next part of your life. It's the beginning of something else.
There you go. So we're sending you with this. And now we are going to send it to our ladies, Kyrian Lee and Dr. Rupa Shah, for this morning's Health Conversations.
More than 40% of Americans with high cholesterol don't know they have it, and that's a big concern for heart health experts. September is the National Cholesterol Education Month, and Dr. Rupa Shah, a family medicine physician and wellness coach at SSM Health, is joining me to talk about cholesterol and how to manage it. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what is cholesterol? I know there's a lot of terms, but what specifically is cholesterol?
Yeah, so it's a fatty substance that, that mostly our liver makes, and then it's carried in our blood. But it is essential. We do need a certain amount of cholesterol for cellular function, to make certain hormones and vitamins. So all cholesterol is not bad. It's just having an excess of it. Now, cholesterol is carried in our body by what we call lipoproteins. We have a low-density lipoprotein, which is the LDL, which we kind of consider the bad cholesterol. And then we have the high-density lipoprotein, which is called HDL, or quote-unquote the good cholesterol. Again, we need a certain amount of cholesterol for our body to function well, but it's that excess cholesterol that can become a problem and cause heart disease, clogging those arteries, and then lead to heart attacks and strokes.
All right, so good things to know. So who is most at risk for high cholesterol?
Yeah, so having a family history actually puts you at risk. So if there is a strong family history, if you know your father or your mother has severe hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol, then you definitely want to get checked at an earlier age for it. Being overweight puts people at risk for it. Being over the age of 40 actually puts you at risk for it. Gender plays a role too. Men generally have higher cholesterol. However, women, after we go through menopause, we tend to have those higher rates of high cholesterol as well. Certain chronic diseases, such as diabetes, chronic kidney disease, lupus, HIV, those can also lend themselves to having higher cholesterol as well. Yeah.
And so what are some ways we can manage our cholesterol levels? I'm sure I can think of a few that you're going to say right off the top.
Yes, you guessed it. So diet and exercise, of course. Nutrition is super important. There's been a lot of focus on eating a low-fat diet, and that is important. But we also now know that eating a diet low in sugar, that can also drive our cholesterol just as much as the fat can. So focusing on both a low-fat and a low-sugar diet is super important. Eating a variety of fruits and vegetables and fiber also helps. Getting some aerobic exercise, again, as you mentioned, is super important as well. But those are kind of the main things that you really want to keep in mind. And then if you are overweight, just working on shedding some of those pounds as well.
Yes, getting better and improving ourselves every day.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's the little things.
Well, how can we find you to get some more of those amazing tips and tricks?
You can find me on Instagram at Wellness with Dr. Shah.
Very good, Dr. Shah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up after the break, I'll have a full look of your first warn forecast. This is Weekend Morning. Stick here.
Badgers did a lot better than what most of our team predicted, but they still did come down with an L.
Yeah, unfortunately, this was to be predicted. Let's take a look at our picks. This is just me and Michelle Renee's pick. We had the same idea, but unfortunately, we were kind of right, unfortunately.
Yeah, we were right. Bama win. But you know what? Our sports director, Andrew Banstra, will give you all of the highlights and show you exactly what yesterday was all about.
And here we go. The Badgers take the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, looking for that sweet, sweet revenge. The defense held their own for a bit. Christian Allegro looked every bit the part amongst some of the top talent in the nation. He gets home for the sack, but before the Badgers could think, the Crimson Tide took a 28-0 lead in a blink, including a score on the first play of the second half. Trailing by 4 scores seconds into the third quarter, the Badgers needing to show a sign of life, and Vinny Anthony gave them just that. Hope you have a long-distance phone plan. Vinny Anthony with a 95-yard house call, bringing the Bama kickoff all the way to the end zone and getting the Badgers on the board. But that is about all the life that Wisconsin would show. The Crimson Tide crash Bucky's revenge plans, beating the Badgers 38-14.
Well, that's obviously not easy to swallow, and the truth of the matter is I told those guys that was a much better team than we are right now, and they showed it, and they did everything that they needed to do. They played complementary football, and we did not.
I mean, it's like the human nature. You want to be upset when things don't go right, but at the end of the day, it doesn't help anything if you're like negative about like a loss. I mean, we can take this and learn from it.
Really, it does start with me being able to, lead the guys better, throughout the week. Have better practices, have better, intensity, so that we can come out and play 4 full quarters. We didn't. We talked about last week one of the keys to the week was going to be coming out hot, and we dug ourselves in a hole in the first half. So.
And taking a look at the 3 things you need to know, it is going to stay pretty warm the next couple of days. Highs will continuously be in the 80s. Rain will return for Thursday and Friday, possibly continue into the weekend with those cooler temperatures expected after the rainfall. Now let's take a look at the overall cloud cover rainfall forecast for the next several days. A lot of sunshine expected for Madison and areas to the east for the next couple of days, but places to the west will see a little bit more cloud cover, and a few light showers are possible near the Mississippi River. Nothing too heavy, but don't be surprised if you folks do see some of those showers. And that's going to be a similar forecast for Tuesday. Very dry for Madison and areas to the east. Cloud cover with some light rain for places to the west. Wednesday will feature a little bit more rainfall, but the heaviest rain will be west of Wisconsin entirely near Iowa, or across Iowa and Minnesota. And later in the night, Wednesday, we'll see some rain in northern Wisconsin, but southern Wisconsin's still not going to see much. And even into Thursday, a lot of that rain will still stay off to the north and west, but still bring some of those showers to the areas near the Mississippi River. And then once we get to Thursday night and Friday, that's when the rain really looks to move to the east and impact most of southern Wisconsin, bring in lots of showers and a few scattered storms as well. And this rain is expected to continue into Saturday. Saturday, it looks like it'll mostly be in the form of showers, but this will also continue to cool the temperatures down. But the overall rainfall amount will be a decent amount for sure, around a ½ inch to a full inch of rain for most of the area, likely a little bit more for areas further to the north and further to the west. And as I mentioned, those temperatures really going to be impacted by them. We're going to be in the 80s the next couple of days, but then by the weekend, we're going to see high temperatures in the lower 70s to upper 60s. But until that rainfall, again, lots of sunshine and highs in the 80s, middle 80s for you folks in La Crosse, and then lower 70s, maybe upper 60s across the board as we head towards next weekend. So kind of a completely different forecast for the first half of the 10 days versus the second half. Now, it does look like we're going to continue to see some of those 70s towards the end of the 10-day forecast. So I don't expect to see these 80s return at least this consistently until potentially next year. So if you like these warm temperatures, definitely take today and enjoy it, because we may not see these 80s are going to be few and far between going forward for sure.
Coming up on For the Record, political activist Charlie Kirk shot and killed at an event at Utah Valley University this week. We break down what it says about political rhetoric and what it could mean for the future of the conservative youth movement. That's ahead this morning on For the Record at 10:30. You're watching Weekend Mornings.
Welcome back. Jacob, I have a question for you. Do you put special toppings on your ice cream, or what do you like in it?
Honestly, I like a bunch of different things. I know, like, recently at Culver's, they have this, like, cereal ice cream where you can have, like, Lucky Charms in it. I love that. So kind of like a variety of toppings for sure, yeah.
Well, take a look at this. The Chocolate Chop ice cream shop is hosting a challenge for you guys to create your own flavor. So you guys can put all of those ideas together, and tomorrow is the last day to submit your idea. So go ahead online. You can also submit at any location in person, and you'll be able to see maybe the top 3 you'll be one of the top 3, and you'll get to have your flavor trying in real life in person. Well, that's all for Weekend Mornings. Thanks for joining us. Up next is CBS Sunday Morning, followed by Face the Nation and For the Record at 10:30.